Hello. In this screencast, I'm going to demonstrate what the Microsoft advantage for dynamic IT infrastructure really is. I will start with the hypothesis that by looking both inside and outside the virtual machines and knowing what workloads we're running, we can optimize the utilization of our IT infrastructure at any point in time dynamically. So let's have a look at what I've got here. I've got an application that is running on these nodes here called VPC head and node 1, node 2, node 3. I am using a shared infrastructure, so there are other virtual machines running on other physical machines, and we will not concern ourselves with those other virtual machines for this demo. In these virtual machines that we will be using on the other end, I'm running a high-performance computing application. Again, it's just any other application, and it happens to load the CPU since it's high-performance computing with heavy computations to be carried out. The application runs on a cluster made of a head node, which is this one, VPC head, and two compute nodes that at this point are being rather heavily utilized, as you can see here, with a CPU utilization of 98 and 99%, and as the graph here is beginning to show for both nodes. I do have a third HPC node, node number 3, which is just another virtual machine running on another physical machine that is stopped at this point in time. So, if I look at my pro tips here, with which virtual machine manager shows me, I can get a summary of the alerts that can be generated from the outside of the virtual machines. So the management framework is noticing, in this case, that the average CPU utilization on host number 1 is reaching 100%. So it has passed the threshold here, which is 75%. And it's also noting that that particular spike in CPU utilization is caused by the fact that VHPC node 1 and VHPC node 2 that are running on PAC 07001 are being heavily utilized themselves. So there is a spike in CPU utilization within the virtual machines that is causing a spike in CPU utilization on the host. Now, anybody, even competitors, can actually look at the CPU utilization that is generated by virtual machines on a host. And anybody can pretty much come to the suggestion that is shown here. To free CPU resources, migrate the virtual machine to another host. Now, if we did that, after the migration, we would have exactly the same problem. The nature of an high-performance computing application is to load the host on which it's running up to 100% for a finite period of time, maybe long period of time. And then, when it's between jobs being run, it doesn't cause much CPU overhead. Actually, CPU utilization will be minimal just to keep the various agents and antiviruses, etc. running. So, moving the VM to another host, which is a solution that can be suggested by pretty much any virtual machine management package, is not the right solution in this case. Fortunately, with Microsoft products, we have a better knowledge of what is going on within the actual workload. So let's switch for a moment to my actual head node, which is the management of the HPC cluster, the management node of the HPC cluster. And let's have a look at what is running. Now, I can see here that I have a task running with 100 executables called stresstool.exe. So there are 100 executables in this job being run on the cluster. And if I look at the activity log, I can see here in the most recent one that of these 100 executables, I have started 4. 2 on VHPC node 1, which has 2 cores, and 2 on VHPC node 2, which has 2 cores. The application is set up so that it starts one of these instances of these executables per core, and that's one example of how HPC can be used. By using PowerShell within the HPC head, I can manage the current situation, because with PowerShell I know how many tasks are queued, and they're bound to generate a CPU utilization of 100%. And always using PowerShell, I can control Virtual Machine Manager and cause it to add computing nodes, which is actually the correct solution for this job. So by adding compute nodes, I will reduce the amount of time that these virtual machines will be used at 100%. They will always be used at 100%. I can only shorten the time it takes to process this particular job. So I've written a small script which runs in PowerShell on the HPC head node. What I'm going to do is fire up PowerShell then. Actually, this PowerShell that comes with the HPC head node. There we go. Go to share, and I've written a little script called add node. Now we run the script. Ignore the error for the moment. All it's saying is that I've already imported a particular module of PowerShell. And have a look at what is happening thanks to this script on my Virtual Machine Manager. I am starting this other node, which was paused there. There you go. It's now running, applying computer settings, etc. So when the node starts, it automatically makes its presence node known to the head node of the cluster, which can take it offline and allocate more work to be done. Let's have a look at what has happened